Welcome to Her Hoop Stats, your all-in-one place for women's basketball at any level. Pros, college. I don't know if Aaron's eventually going to get into the itty-bitties, but we talk about it all. I'm Helen Williams, and I'm here with Cindy Brunson. And Cindy, woo, it's about that time. We got a little
I
bit of stuff going
know.
on before the break. And I want to talk to you about some of that, most notably yesterday. And kudos to
Ooh,
you
Angel
for
Reese. Angel
for cluing
Reese.
in.
Oh my
Angel
goodness
Reese. Let's
gracious.
let the people know. Let the people know.
Not only did that young woman break a record that has stood for 23 years, Shamika Holtzclaw, in the first game of the season in 2003, 24 rebounds for her Mystics against the Detroit Shock. And I thought, wow, I don't know if that record is going to fall until I saw Angel Reese at LSU. And I thought, okay, that record may fall. And I've kind of been waiting and watching because you know what the number is. But again, it's kind of like when Caitlin came on the scene. I never thought the Tisha Penicheiro record would fall either in a single
Yeah.
season as a rookie. And then Clark came in and just demolished it. It's like, okay, clearly assists are what she is best at. So let's just keep an eye on that trend too. But for Angel, I started watching when she was in college just because she has that rebounding acumen, right? We saw it with Dennis Rodman back in the day. In the W, we've seen it with Rebecca Brunson, Sylvia Fowles, just people that get rebounds. There's it's like
A nose for
magnetic
the ball.
ball. Yeah, magnetic ball attraction. So just to sit in the old living room and watch Angel do her thing and help the dream solidify home court advantage, right? Every win matters here down the stretch. They complete the 4-game road trip 4-0. That's huge. And that Angel got this record in LA against a formidable front court, right? We're talking former
Yeah.
MVP Neko Gumake, Dearica Hamby, an all-star, and Cameron Brink. Oh my goodness, when she can play a fully healthy season, she will
Without
wreck
fouling.
this league. Yes, without fouling, managing the fouls, but the way that she can time her rim protection with blocking shots, oh wow. So for me, the record is even more impressive because that front court, I don't care that Los Angeles has been eliminated in the playoff conversation. That's huge. And a limited bench for Atlanta, right? Bree Jones out,
Yeah.
unavailable. So I'm super excited for Angel. She was 1 year old when that original record was set, and she broke it, and she did it and set the Barbie next to her on the bench. Like she got a Barbie and record. Like it's just so phenomenal. I couldn't be happier for that young lady.
I love seeing her win. She won
Yeah.
in college. She takes so much crap from idiots, and I just
Ooh.
love seeing how she just continues to turn that into wins, into
Mm-hmm.
profit. Like
Yep.
I love seeing
Helen,
her
for
win.
me, the big line of demarcation for Angel in that record setting game, because of course she broke her own single season record as well for rebounds, was the fact that 18 of her 26 came on the defensive glass. What do we always say? Rebounds are possessions. So she
Yeah,
took possessions away from the opposition in a game you could argue Atlanta kind of had to have. You can't stub your toe against teams you're supposed to beat when you're vying for home court advantage. So A plus plus across the board. Points were hard to come by for Angel for sure. She still eked out the double double, but for me, it wasn't even about the points. It was the domination on the glass.
yeah, and they definitely need that. They have
Yes.
to win the games they're supposed to win. They only have, well, I don't know how many more games they have left, but we have this break coming up with the
Hmm.
FIBA World Cup. But
Right.
yeah, I said last week to Chrissy, they're just an enigma. Um, there's so much talent there, if they can stay healthy. So kudos for that. And let's give some kudos to Phoenix for letting DeWanna Bonner pursue another championship. They let her, I should say, let her go. They came to a
Mhm.
mutual buyout, I guess.
Yep.
And I guess after she clears waivers,
Mhm.
She can be a free agent, and so I immediately, when you said that, I started texting you. I'm like, well, this is where's she gonna go? And then, so I want to
Right?
talk about, the teams that I thought. I mean, obviously everybody can use her, right?
Mhm.
Um, but I mentioned to you, what did I say? I'm reading my text here. I said the wings because she can guard multiple positions. I said Atlanta because they need another reliable scorer who produces, and this is key, who produces in important games consistently.
Mhm.
Uh, Vegas because obviously I hope Melissa Smith's knee is not. I don't know if we know anything about that, but losing
No,
her.
not yet. Yep.
Um, and then Golden State fits right in with the 3-point shot ability.
Mhm.
Another defender. I mentioned, she's rail thin, so I don't know about her guarding people inside, but she's also a mismatch because they got to come out and play her.
Yeah.
Um, and then never, ever, ever, never, ever, never, ever count out Cheryl Reeve from Minnesota. I don't know how that would work, but I ain't counting her out. So,
Right.
so let's talk about that. What are your thoughts on my text to you last night?
Well, my first thought was somebody's interested because Phoenix is just not going to graciously say, "Hey, DeWanna,
Right.
go pursue opportunities." Somebody called Nick Duran, the general manager at Phoenix, and said, "Hey, we're interested." And so that for me is what got the ball rolling. So some team that is in playoff contention right now, we know what the 8 teams are, wants an addition like Bonner can bring. Now, she once she clears waivers, that $500,000 contract goes away, right? She's been bought out.
Veteran minimum,
And
right?
now she has to sign for the veteran
Prorated.
minimum, which makes things a little bit more manageable. Now, there are a couple of teams that might have to move players off. I
Yeah.
immediately went to the team that just picked up one tremendous veteran who's a WNBA champion and might add another, the Washington Mystics,
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like they've got cap room to spare. And in Bonner, you bring somebody who can extend the defense, get them out to the 3-point line, and free up all of that beauty that's happening around the basket for Washington.
Yay, more Princeton cuts. Yes.
Yes, yes, yes. So, and I think the Mystics, with only having one player going off to FIBA in international play, is a team to really watch because they get together, whether they get DeWanna or not. They get together as a team, the most complete team during that break. So they basically
Yeah.
get a 2-week training camp to really fine tune. And I think no matter what the matchup is, Washington, because these youngins don't know, right? What do they call
No,
themselves? The
but
young
you
hoes. I
don't
mean,
you don't
come
want to
on,
play Washington. Yeah, you
right?
don't want to
Because
play them.
they don't
They
know.
just they don't know, and they'll mess around. And I said this to Christy last week too. You
Yeah.
only need 1 point more than the other team at the end of the game.
Yes.
So they'll
Yes.
mess around and they'll get that 1 point, whether
Yep.
it's Citron at the last second or a rebound
Hmm.
from Kiki Iriafen. I mean, just
Yep.
they'll mess around and get that 1 point.
Yeah. Shakira Austin being healthy for them this season is the difference
Huge.
maker for me. Just every time I watch that young woman play, I think Asia 2.0 loading. Like she and the career arc, the same number of years in the league when Asia started folding in a 3-point shot. Austin is on
Yeah.
that very same arc. So for me, the Mystics, super entertaining, really fun. I cannot wait to see what they do in the postseason. Back to Bonner and where she might go. If she winds up with the Valkyries, that would be a match made in heaven. They do need a little bit more reliable offense, right?
Yeah.
And so when
Although
you
last night looked
listen,
pretty.
listen, I know Valcatraz was in full effect, right? Tip Hayes coming up with yet another name. I tell you what, nicknames for the Valkyries have just been off the charts, starting with Valhalla. We brought in Violet, the mascot, and now we've got the Valcatraz defense, putting people literally in handcuffs. It was the first time all season long Olivia Miles looked mortal, right? Didn't even finish in double figures. And that was in large part to Veronica Burton, who just dug in like a junkyard dog. She had half of the Valkyries' 10 steals, half. Also scored and also only turned the ball over one time. The efficiency off the chart. So when I look at Golden State, I just see the need for just a little bit of offense, just a few more points, because we know they can lock people up. But you got to score, and you got to score at the top of the table. The teams that can get loose with a single scorer who can drop 30 or 40. So you have to be able to match that offensively. And that's why it would be very intriguing to see if Bonner wound up in Golden State.
I bet you the next time Olivia plays him, she gonna have that afro, not that puff.
Oh, I tell you, we got the game breakdown. How about
Yeah,
thread?
shout out to I don't know who
Yes,
that was that did the breakdown between the
yes,
afro and the puff, but thank you. I've been wanting to
yes.
see that forever.
Yep. Yep. 100%. So, and that's a great teaching moment for Cheryl Reeve as well, right? She's got plenty
Yeah,
of tape to go in the lab. If anybody can fix what ails, it is Coach Reeve. And she'll just put them through the grinder. They're off until Friday. They'll get Courtney Williams back. It showed how much they missed her,
yes,
right? Just that
yes.
automatic shot clock winding down. Let me get a midi. In case of emergency, break glass is Courtney Williams, and that wasn't available for the Lynx, and that's part of the story. But I still think, just for muscle memory, Golden State circled that game at Minnesota because they hadn't beaten them before, right? They were over. So to have that muscle memory of what it feels like to take down the top team, because you're going to have to do that. You got to go
Yeah.
through Minnesota, the way things are crafted right now, to get to what you want, which is the chip. So now they've got the muscle memory of what it feels like to beat that team. And Natalie Nakase, as she chases another Coach of the Year award, is going to tap that when she's in a huddle or in the locker room at halftime, whatever. Like we've done this before. You know what you did. You know what you have to do. And that's critical. That win meant so much for Golden State moving forward, more than the loss and the opportunity to get right does for Minnesota.
There was a camera angle that I saw on some of the highlights
Mhm.
of them on defense, and if I were coaching, I would that was the best shell drill I've ever seen. And it's a combination of being accountable for your individual defense,
Mhm.
but being available for your teammate for help. And in both those situations, cutting off angles. Not everybody for the Valkyries is like super fast. They're not all Gabby
Mm-mm.
Williams. They're not all,
Mm-mm.
great athletes, but you don't have to be a great athlete to play great defense if you just understand how and when and where to cut the angles off.
Yep.
So they had a combination of athleticism, individual defensive accountability, and team communication. It was like I was like, "No, that's not gonna make me go back into coaching." But I was like, "Yeah!" Like that was so beautiful to watch. If I were a coach, I would clip that, and that is what I would show my team.
We always talk about defensively playing on a string. That was the ultimate example of moving as one in this beautiful symphony of defensive basketball. And it's a luxury that the Valkyries have to do that. Imagine what a force Indiana could be if they could replicate
And play
even
some defense.
half of that defense. Yeah. I mean, because Indiana, once it gets to the postseason, all they want to do is get into a score more situation. Well, the bad news for the
Yeah,
Fever is, with that defensive ranking that they currently have, we know defense wins championships. We know play slows down once you get to the postseason, and what you like to do gets taken away. So I worry for that team. And you can see why the odds makers have leaned more toward Minnesota and Las Vegas as, folks that could possibly win the championship, and moved off of Indiana, which was the preseason favorite,
yeah.
betting wise, as we head toward the playoffs.
I just I want the Valkyries to prove me wrong that you can win a championship without a big time inside player. I want them to do that. So
Yeah.
we'll see if they're capable of doing that. But let's go to how Atlanta would benefit if they had DeWanna Bonner.
Ooh, it's just another scoring option, right? And since we don't know the health and timeline for Bree Jones exactly, and we have seen Tahina Pau struggle with injury and really hasn't gotten that many minutes since she's come back, it gives them another scoring option. And I think that would just be a shot in the arm for Atlanta. And I think team culture wise, Bonner is quick enough to pick up what Semesco is putting down, right? So I
Yeah.
think that would be a great fit. And then again, she would have that FIBA break as they lose a couple players to FIBA. Bonner can just slide right in, learn everything. And I think that makes Atlanta more formidable because their shooting is stout, right? If it's not Rye, it's Leash. If it's not Leash, it's Angel. They have their weapons, but they've lacked consistency. And I think Bonner helps them in what they've been the most consistent in, and that's defense. They have the top 3 people on the steals list currently in the WNBA. We have never seen a team in WNBA history have the top 3 slots in the steals category from one team. Now, it has happened for 2 players, 1 and 2, multiple times. The last time in 2019 with Jordan Canada and Natasha Howard from the Seattle Storm. And of course, JC, who came out of the womb in a defensive stance, is involved in this next statistical iteration for steals. So we've seen it multiple times with 2 players, but not with 3. And I think because of the ability to turn up the defense, that also makes Atlanta a very dangerous team. But you also have to have somebody who can get you a bucket. And if it's not the usual suspects in the vaunted all-star caliber players that Atlanta has, the addition of a DB would be epic.
Yeah, I mean, she reminds me of Robert Ory for
Yeah,
the Lakers. Like
yeah. And
she's
what did
gonna
he
hit.
do? What did he do? Almost ran out of fingers for rings, right? Like
Right.
he was in the right place at the right time and just kept running into rings. And that's what it is. And this is a
Big
great
shot, Bob.
opportunity.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, for DB to get another one.
She just and that's wherever she goes is what I think is her biggest asset. Is she's been in those games. She's not
Mhm.
afraid to take those shots. She makes those shots.
Yeah.
So for Atlanta, that everything you just said about the defense, totally agree. But
Mhm.
that's where I think she would be the biggest asset because they get in games and they don't execute at crucial moments. They'll turn it
Mhm.
over or a bad shot, whatever. I mean,
Yep.
there's a lot of different reasons for that, but she's gonna make it happen. And so I
Yes.
think that to me is the most appealing for why she, why they would uh, benefit from her.
Yeah.
So
The Aces are the other wild card in all of this.
that's where I was going next. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we don't know what the Nalissa Smith injury is. The non-contact feel of this is very scary for me. I have had a front row seat to Alyssa's journey since she got into the WNBA. She just was a one-woman wrecking crew in Athletes Unlimited. Really refound her confidence after just kind of almost dying on the vine in Indiana when she first got into the league, and to have an opportunity to work alongside Asia Wilson and learn from Becky Hammon has just been the magic cure-all to get
yeah.
Liz not only believing in herself again, but just playing with incredible confidence, leading the league in field goal percentage. Like, come on. That's and for Las Vegas, that's tough to replace. She has been a reliable bucket and rebound producer for that team. So the Aces, now they are up against it cap wise. I don't know what all would have to move around to make the Bonner
Somebody's
signing.
got to go.
Somebody may have to just say, I guess I'm going to pack my bags and leave this beautiful training facility. But yeah, but that is another team. And if anybody can bring in a player and get them on point in a hurry, it's Becky Hammon. So I'm very curious to see what unfolds.
So, who out of the teams that are not going to make the playoffs do you think is going
Mhm.
to be the big spoiler to the teams that are, trying to do well?
I
Like,
think
because we have
until
a
the
few games left.
right. I think until the Portland Fire are officially eliminated, they are the most dangerous, right? They're the
Okay.
team closest to striking distance to Dallas. Everybody else they're done for the season, right? They're planning trips to Cancun. So for me, it is definitely what the Portland Fire can do. And shout out, we got Rose, we got a new mascot. I love the
Yeah. What
rollout,
What
the
do you think about
unveiling.
her?
Uh, I'm a huge Game of Thrones fans, House of
Okay.
Dragon. So the fact that
So
it's a
you like it?
dragon, I'm down. I'm 10 toes down. And I love the fact that they waited until the House of Dragon season on HBO was over so that there wasn't dragon competition in the cultural spaces, right? Right? We don't have to measure up dragons, just woo. And then the fact that it's not a fire breathing dragon. Rose breathes glitter. Like, how can you not love that?
And
It's
her
just
scales are made of rose petals, not
right. I
whatever
mean,
dragons have. Yeah.
it's super charming. So yeah, I mean, and shout out to Ellie, right? Big Ellie has set the bar in New York,
You know
right?
what? I was gonna say I find it hard to not compare other mascots to her because she is
Yes.
the standard. And
Yep.
so whenever somebody comes out, I'm like, my thought is always, well, that's not Ellie. I don't care what you do. Here it is. I don't care how it's rolled out. I'm like, but that's not Ellie. It's so unfair because they
It
just
is.
got here, and I'm judging them, but it's not
Yep.
Ellie.
Yeah.
Look,
I really appreciated the
I got
rollout.
my Ellie up there. So yeah.
Listen, I got mine too somewhere in this cacophony of my crazy office. But yeah, no, Ellie is the gold standard for sure. And I love how, Toronto rolled out there, Des and Dot. I like that it's two, there's variety. I think if you're trying to represent a country, right? Like Toronto is, you got to have multiple ways to go. So I love that. And the intricate backstory for both of those mascots was a chef's kiss. I was like, okay, this is great. So, yeah, I love how everybody's coming correct. And we've already seen what Cleveland wants to do with the sirens. I can't wait to see what that looks like in mascot form.
Yeah, and then Houston would be interesting to see what they end up doing too. So
Yes. Yep.
still not Ellie. Still not Ellie. Okay.
Okay.
So I want to just chat a little briefly about. I haven't seen this, but you have the Yukon documentary
Mm.
on Apple TV. You said it was great. I want to highlights, lowlights, any other observations before I watch it. I'm on season 8 of the old Dynasty, and so I gotta finish that. I
Oh,
gotta
okay.
season 8
Gotcha.
and season 9, so I can't move off that into something else until I'm done with the old Dynasty. But that
I
will be
feel
my
you.
next thing. So tell
Okay.
me what your thoughts are.
For anybody who is new to the game, new to women's basketball, WNBA, college, whether you started watching because you fell in love with what was happening at Iowa or LSU or UCLA, whatever it is, I invite you to watch this documentary for two main reasons. It is a love letter to Pat Summitt and what she did with the Tennessee Lady Vols to build what we are all enjoying today. I get a little choked up. Um, my hardest day at ESPN was talking to Pat Summitt about the death of her dear friend Kay Yao.
Mm.
And it was just via satellite. We weren't in studio together. But in the 5 minutes prior to us going on air, the conversation that I had with Coach Summitt was life changing. That woman was such a force of nature and on the right side of history in every single way in supporting and growing this game. And so for me to watch that documentary and, see them bring on Sally Jenkins, who wrote her wonderful autobiography. Um, it 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 just meant so much to me that the story was told so beautifully and accurately. That they did a wonderful job of storytelling with that. So that was my biggest takeaway, because
Okay.
there is no Gino without Pat, right? You got to have a rivalry. And Pat doesn't get her extra championships if she wasn't, trying to best what was happening in stores. So I just love that foundationally. The second part I loved was the access that we had for the final championship chase that we've seen from UConn so far, number 12, with Paige Beckers. It was very interesting to me to basically have that season documented and get reactions from her teammates, Sarah Strong, and the growth and development of Paige coming through these injuries and finally getting to the mountaintop. The things that I didn't like, I thought Maya Moore's legacy was glossed over, and Brianna Stewart. She was in the doc, but there was no mention of Stewie only lost 5 games total on her way to a
Four
four-peat.
championships in 4 years.
Right.
Yeah.
4 championships in 4 years. We're never gonna see that again. Like, that is just banana, not the way the players move today chasing NIL. That's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
So I was kinda surprised about that, and Maya Moore was in the doc commenting, but there was, for me, it's baton toss, right? It starts with Rebecca Lobo. It goes Sue Bird, Diana Taurasi, and Swing Cash in that group, and then it goes to Maya. And then it goes to Stewie, and then it goes to Paige and Sarah. So for me, there, not that the batons were dropped, but it was a glaze over of, just
Hmm.
Stewie going,
Hmm.
would I want to go back to UConn? No. Well, why would you want to go back? You did all you could do. Like, you just so yeah, but overall it was really well done. It left me wanting more. I could have used 2 more episodes, literally. And I did really like how the story was told. And especially like I mentioned, the Pat Summit piece, and also how close Diana and Gino are and how much alike they are
Oh,
with
yeah.
their immigrant stories. And it was like, okay, because I know coaches that tried to get Diana to go elsewhere, and they just always said, at the end of the day, I had better facilities, I had this, that, but they couldn't compete with the immigrant story of Gino to her parents. And you get exposed to that in this documentary as well.
Shout out to my all-time favorite player, Diana Taurasi. So you're saying I'm going to cry when I watch it?
I'm saying keep the tissues handy. I am saying keep the tissues handy. But it's well done, and anything that is involved with storytelling and women's basketball on the collegiate or professional level is still so needed, right? Like,
Yeah.
I want to see the UCLA doc. I want to see what Corey Close has gone through over the last decade and a half to finally get to the mountaintop. There is so much more storytelling that can be done. And I'm just glad that Apple really seems to be 10 toes down and wanting to be in the space and to do it the right way.
You're going to have to move from play-by-play to producing and being a documentarian.
I tell you what, this is, let me just get up on a soapbox. You know what I like to do? I think the
Oh,
biggest
we're going to
miss,
get spicy, Cindy?
I'm saying, woo, here we go. The biggest miss this season, because you made me put my producing hat on, as I have watched these games, has been the lack of on this day in history. I think every
Yeah.
game should be a teaching moment of what this league has done day to day, game to game, over the 30-year existence. And it's
Yeah.
just a prime opportunity right there, and nobody is doing it. All of these new television partners, we're not seeing it. And it's just a missed opportunity because, again, we have so many new fans and there are so many fantastic stories. Every time Swing Cash popped up in that doc about UConn, I thought, I need a Detroit Shock documentary. The fact that that team was the worst in the league, they draft right with Cheryl Ford, they add a few pieces, and then boom, they're winning chips. That's amazing. I want to see that story. So, yeah, I just feel like the WNBA just kind of missed a moment and has done so all season long to teach everybody about the league. You know a great deal. I know a great deal, but I want to learn. I don't know everything. Obviously, I can't. I'm not a computer. And I want to have those shared experiences as fans, right? To be caretakers of the game and to make sure that it's treated the right way.
That sounds like a job for you and your buddy Cheryl Swoops.
She knows a thing or two about being in a documentary, baby, and in
That's a
commercials,
good
all of the
combo.
things.
I'll
Yes.
I'll get in there and help any way I can, but that's a good combo.
Yeah. No, it'll be great to have as much as I'm going to hate to see the sun set on Connecticut, I'm very
Yeah.
excited to have Houston back in the fold so that the banners can go up in the rafters celebrating the greatness that started this league with the four-peat Houston Comets.
I said it before, I'm gonna say it again. Cheryl Swoops better be in that front office somewhere, and you need to hire Teaspoon. Teaspoon needs to be the head coach of the new Houston franchise.
Every time I
That's
see
it.
Teresa Weatherspoon in studio, she's been fantastic on television, but man, that coaching hat is so apparent. It just jumps off the screen, and it just makes me wonder, um, I know that Morgan Tuck would like to move as general manager from Connecticut to Houston, but I don't know what that coaching staff looks like, right? I haven't heard anything, any rumblings, and I can't think of a better name to slot in than Teaspoon.
Yeah. All right, BMAC, you gotta save this so in case I'm prophetic, you can roll it again on Twitter. Um, all right, so let's finish up with these are the games that are tonight. Tell me who you're gonna
Mhm.
watch. The Sky versus the Sun, the Fire versus the Wings, or the Mystics versus the Mercury.
Uh, I would like to watch The Fire and the Mystics. I wanna see what the
Wait, no,
Mystics
no,
do.
Fire and the Wings. Oh, you
Oh,
mean
fi
oh those two games.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but those 2
So
games, those
Fire's
2
playing the
games.
Wings and
Yeah,
Mystics are playing. Okay, gotcha.
right. I always keep an eye on Connecticut because of Charlie Sledger Walker, Washington State University.
Yeah,
So yeah, I always have an eye on Connecticut, and I wanna see how Chicago bounces back from that tough loss and all of the drama, that just was unnecessary for them to have to deal with in their last outing. So I wanna see how they bounce back because Chicago in its current iteration and health level can be the biggest spoiler on the board. They can just wreck anybody if they decide to. If they wake up and go,
yeah.
"Nah, today, not today, not in my house." They have the ability. So, I'm curious about them
Could
as always.
could
But
they have
yeah.
messed around? Could they have messed around and maybe next year with Sydney Taylor? No, let me
Mm.
say what I said on text message. Sydney MF and Taylor. Um, uh,
Yeah, forget her middle name is not Leah anymore. It is F apostrophe N.
Sydney Taylor and Rakia Jackson. I mean,
Mm.
could they mess around and maybe they might have something next year if they can stay healthy and get some more pieces? Although they're not going to get them from the draft, but I
They
don't
won't
know.
get him
I
from
was
the
just
draft
thinking
because
that
their
watching
their
him.
their lottery draft pick goes to the Mystics, right? But,
Yeah, right. Yeah,
yeah, I like and even without Rakia right now, it's still a team. If Camila Cardozo could ever get a foul call, that young woman
I
has the
know.
worst whistle I have ever seen, and I get it. She's a formidable body, right? And so referees have always been hesitant and they give the whistle to the smaller player. And I get
Yeah,
it. You just can't help the physical imbalance that you see. But that doesn't mean that she's not getting fouled a lot.
getting
And
crushed. She's getting crushed.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, I just as the season winds down, I would really like to see her get a little bit better of a whistle because if she does, then they can continue to do like Tyler Marsh had started, and that's use Cardozo as the fulcrum, much like the aces do with Asia Wilson, right? When you
Yeah.
have that body in the middle that you know is a reliable bucket, play through her, and then create inside out as a result. So, yeah, I just, whew, Camila, I feel you, man. Every time I watch, I'm just like the bruises, the ice tub that just must be reserved for
Yeah,
her
for
and
sure.
her only post game. Wow, it's a lot.
All right. Well, we shall see where DeWanna Bonner ends up. We shall see if the Portland Fire can play spoiler tonight.
Mm,
And you got
yeah.
anything else?
No, just another shout out to the fans. Thank you for watching. Thank you for participating in this wonderful sport and filling these arenas and supporting the women down. I posted a congratulations to Angel on Twitter, and and I gave the history, it's been 23 years. Here's the record. It was Shamiqua Holesclaw. Wow, this is exciting. And just from that post, the vitriol that came back at me, I can only imagine what happens to that young woman on the regular. This was just a positive, hey, WNBA historical note. There was no cheerleading, there was nothing attached to it other than just the facts, ma'am, statistics. And the blowback that I received, misogynistic, sexist, racist, ageist, like it was bananas. And I thought, this is what Angel deals with every day of every calendar year that she is in this league and on this planet, just simply trying to do her best. And her best, to her absolute credit, is getting better. We've seen her get better offensively throughout the season. We've seen the numbers go up. The defensive rebounding, stout, never changing. But what she has to go through day in and day out on social, and for me, I can put the phone down. I don't have to be on social media. I can take it or leave it. But for all of these players, and especially the ones at the very tippy top of the earning table, social media is an economic revenue vehicle. They have to be on. So I just want everybody to remember that these are young women, and whatever you're doing from your basement or, on your phone, just do it with some decorum. Just like, it's not a big ask. Nobody needs a racist call out because a record was broken. That's nonsense.
Well, Cindy, I've told you this before. Facts don't matter to people who live miserable lives and
Mm,
have to
there
make
is
other
that.
people feel small so that they feel better about themselves. So, kudos to these women. They are continuing to pursue and sustain excellence. You say what you want to say. They go to work every day. They get it
Yeah.
done every day. And I admire them for that and love seeing them succeed and love seeing the joy that these people who have miserable lives somehow just cannot stomach. So keep doing what you're doing. And the fans who
Amen.
are doing it the right way, the fans who are doing it the right way, let's drown out the ones who aren't. I am in
Yes.
total agreement with you. Let's keep doing that.
I love that. Yes. Lead with joy.
Yes, for sure. That's a good thing to end on. We're going to lead with joy. Make sure with her hoop stats, whatever platform you're on, we're on there. If you need, if you're nerdy and you want to go down a rabbit hole, there's tremendous stats on there, especially with
Mhm.
salary cap and all that kind of stuff. If you're trying to figure out where DeWanna Bonner is going to go.
Right.
But for Cindy Brunson, I'm Helen Williams. You guys have a great day. We will be back with another episode tomorrow.
Bye.